Yo, just finished another run. I promise this isn't turning into a running channel. For one, I love to run. I love fitness. I've been running a lot because of the quarantine and gyms are closed. But then recently, I guess I just fell in love with running and the feeling that it gives. Long story short, today I just finished a 10-kilometer run. I like the 10Ks because it's not as much of a competition with myself, where the 5K runs, I've been really challenging myself to get a personal best, get it below 20 and now like whatever. So whenever I start a 5K, I kind of get that antsy competitive feeling that's like, okay, ready, 3, 2, 1, go. Where the 10K, beautiful day like this, I can get a tan, I can just go, not worry about my speed, not worry about my time. And it's in those runs that I have the most thoughts, because obviously it's longer and so there's more time to think. But today I was thinking about, there's some people that would look at someone who's in incredible shape and say, oh, they're obsessed with the way they look and they're obsessed with getting bigger and working out, because it takes a lot of time and dedication and focus and consistency in order to get in incredible shape. But I think when you see someone who's in really good shape, it's a testament to their work ethic, their dedication, their consistency, their ability to set goals. As I was thinking about this, I told myself I have to be careful when I say that, because just being in shape isn't an indication of your work ethic. That's only one example. I think of people who are successful financially. That's also a testament of hard work. I just think fitness is one example of having drive and work ethic. And so this goes for everything as well, but if it were easy, everyone would do it. And I think the reason that not everyone is ripped or lean and in good health and fit, it's because it's not easy. The same reason why not everyone's a millionaire. I don't think there's anyone out there that would not want to be in shape or look good. It's just not easy for everyone to do it. So I think when I see someone who's in great shape, my mind goes directly to, wow, look how much they've worked for that. Look at the amount of time and focus and energy and dedication and consistency that's gone in to get where they are. And I think that because I know what it takes and I know how hard it is to be in shape and stay in shape. When I was in London, when I first got there, I was probably 190 pounds. Just finished the summer, a great summer, working out. And then when I got back in March, there was a moment in London where I was 206 pounds. Like I was out of shape. And it was because I was so uncomfortable that I resorted to doing things that made me comfortable, which was ordering a large pizza 2 nights out of the week and ice cream and going out drinking and everything. But now, since I've been home, I've refocused and now I'm in just as good, if not better shape than I was last summer. So I know how difficult it is to stay in shape. And that's why whenever I see someone, that's what goes through my head. So I'm almost home from the walk after my run. There's this beautiful lake, but I was talking to one of my friends and he said that one of his favorite parts about these UndressTheStories is these little vlog types where it's just me talking to the camera. Drop me a comment below if you agree, if you want to see a little bit more about my day-to-day, not every day, not everything about my day, but just a little more off the top thoughts about me and whatever. The water's nice. Beautiful Nova Scotia, sunny day. I do wish I could jump in that right now. It actually wasn't that bad. It's good. I don't know. This has been a big thing on my mind too, is that I was sitting here, I wanted to do something. And I said, no, I'd rather not. Walk home, don't have any clothes, I'd be wet, whatever. And as I was walking, I kind of got upset with myself. I was like, man, I should have done that. And so all it took was for me just to turn around and be like, no, let's go do it. And I'm glad I did. So little things, just do one little thing that makes you a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know, I can't help but think that makes a difference. First swim in Nova Scotia for 2020, it's nice. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode, Undress the Stories. I'm your host, Tristan Ross. I'm the one who runs UndressTheJersey, a platform for all athletes to share their story. A couple things I want to address. I've been wearing the same clothes for the past 10 weeks now, as I'm sure a lot of people have been, because quarantine, things are starting to open up here in Nova Scotia. And I've been starting to kind of do workouts with my buddy Will, and I've been to a bar so far. Everything has all kinds of social distancing protocols involved with it, but yeah, for the most part, I'm just in my own little bubble in this apartment, go for my runs, and I'm just using the same clothes. And two, as you can tell, my hair's gotten a lot longer. It's actually never been this long before, and I'm starting to struggle with the fact whether or not I should cut it, go back to my clean skin fade, a little bit on top, messy, whatever, or do I rock it and shoot for that Shawn Mendes look? Who knows? So I don't know. Leave me a comment below what you think, but enough talk about me. Let's get into these stories. So first story today is from David Kerr, who was on the track and field team for Dalhousie University. I transferred from UNB to Dalhousie because I saw it as an opportunity to grow as an athlete, a student, and a person. However, within a week of arriving in Halifax, it looked like my opportunities as an athlete would be limited when we learned that the facility manager of the Dalplex had taken away the practice space from my event group. Instead of giving up, I spent the next 4 years practicing outside all winter and fighting the feelings of unmet expectations and disappointment. There were times when I wanted to give up and allow myself to be defeated, but through an amazing support system of teammates and friends, I kept working and refused to be held down. Until finally I had a breakthrough in my 5th and final year, and all the hours in the cold paid off. I managed to jump up 13 spots to 10th in Canada after finishing in 21st, 22nd, and 23rd respectively in my first 3 years at Dalhousie. In the process, I was able to qualify for U Sports Nationals, where I also finished 10th. While I will never know where I could have gotten to if I had the full support of my school and the ability to train in a normal environment, I am now able to look back and be proud of how I finished my career and found motivation in the work I put into overcoming adversity. So without a doubt, a few things here stick out to me. One, a little context. I remember reading this story for the first time, and I was shocked at the fact that Dal didn't have a facility for his event group, and he was forced to train outside during the winter. And anyone from Nova Scotia knows that we get very harsh winters. So for David to not let that affect him is incredible. The second thing is that I have yet to hear someone go through some sort of adversity and say, I wish I didn't do that. Every successful story or person that you hear of that has gone through something and came out the other side all gained something positive from it. Now, to be fair, the people that go through something and don't come out of it, we don't hear of, because whether they don't share it or they don't learn anything from it, they just stay there. Basically, what I'm trying to get at is the fact that when you are met with adversity and you get yourself through that, because don't forget, it's up to you to do that. You grow so much as a person, you gain so much from that experience. It's just a powerful thing. That's why I think it's important to recognize that you're going through a stage of adversity and fight and fight and fight and get through it, because what you gain from it is just something that you can't really learn anywhere else. The third thing, though, is when I say you have to do that, as David mentioned, it does take a support system around you in order to help you get through that. In our last episode, there was a clip that I posted, and the biggest piece of feedback that I got from it was that it's so important to have a strong support system in order to help you through those things. For all the times of adversity that I had, I've been blessed to have an incredible support system around me, and I understand that a lot of people don't have that. Something that comes to my mind, if someone doesn't have a strong support system, you just have to look at the way the internet has created so much connection for people And even though you may not have a strong support system at home or at school or whatnot, there are so many communities online that from people of all over the world, that there's specific communities of people going through the same thing. It's almost like a support system in and of itself. Now, obviously it's completely different, and I'm not saying that an online community is the same as a direct and immediate circle in your life, but I do think that there are communities out there to help people through certain things. And to be honest, UndressTheJersey, in my mind, could one day be a certain community for athletes that have gone through injuries and tough times. It could become a place where people listen to the stories of other people and look at themselves and be like, oh, I went through that too, or I'm currently going through that too. Let me reach out to someone who's been where I've been. So shout out David for getting them through that and excelling in sport because of it. So let's get on to the next one. So the next story is from Brent Martindale, who was a basketball player for St. Mary's University for 4 years. And then he just finished his 5th year at Dal, where he was studying for his master's. I grew up in a hockey family where basketball was never a part of the discussion. So in high school, when my friend told me to try out, I was hesitant. I barely played at all that season, but it was the most fun I'd ever had. Everything about the game seemed amazing to me. The sound of my sneakers against the court, the feel of the ball in my hands, the intoxicating swish of a perfect shot. All of it was incredible. After that season, I stopped playing hockey and put all of my focus into basketball. I found my one true love. 7 years later, I have the privilege of playing the game I love every day. I still feel that same joy when I picked up a ball. Over the past year, I've battled mental health issues, and basketball has been my escape. At the worst of times, when life felt meaningless, I turned to the game for refuge, and it welcomed me with open arms. The threat of extra sprints got me out of bed and moving on bad days. I didn't want to let my teammates down. On the court, everything about me changes. It feels like a giant weight has been lifted off of my shoulders. All of my problems vanish, and for a few hours, I feel normal. I feel truly happy. So this was the first time that an athlete shared a story specific to mental health on the page, which is important because I don't think mental health is talked about enough. I think the stigma around mental health is that it's not a physical injury, and for people who feel depressed or have anxiety, it's just you're in your own head and it's not that serious, like just get over it. And for the longest time, it was hard for me to relate to anyone whenever they came out about mental health because I had never experienced it firsthand. But as I mentioned, when I was over in London, I went from the best shape in my life to arguably the worst shape I've ever been in. And for the first time in my life, I was starting to battle with mental health because I had never been to Europe before. It was my first time in London. I didn't know anyone except for the uncle of my cousin, who I was working for when I was over there. But long story short, I remember leaving work, and that night I had my first panic attack, which you hear of before, and I've heard about panic attacks before, but never experienced one, didn't know what they were, didn't know what they felt like. And to be honest, I just thought that people who had them just needed to chill out, relax. But when I was going through it, it was one of the most frightening times in my life where I didn't feel in control. I didn't know what was happening. Felt like I was having a heart attack. I was tripping out. Being in London, I didn't know who to call. I didn't want, it's one of those things that is just so difficult to kind of admit and put out there. And without making this too much about me, for Brent to come out and say that in one of the years, it was the darkest year of his life, he used basketball in order to get him through that. Now, I've become a little bit closer with Brent through friends and of course basketball, playing against each other and everything. Brent is genuinely your definition of a friendly giant. On the court, he's mean and nasty, but off the court, he's loving and fun and friendly, everything, like all that kind of stuff. But that's just it. The reason why it's so difficult to admit something like that, you look at someone like Brent, who's a big guy, aggressive, on the court, passionate, everything, to see him come out about mental health and say, look, I've experienced this. I admit that up here, I was weak. and going through some stuff, that takes a whole lot to do. And even for me to have this is probably one of the hardest things that I've had to admit. But I think it's important to do that. And like I said, I want this to be a community where people can listen and hear other people talk about things and relate to them and say, hey, I'm going through the same thing. I'm gonna reach out to Brent, or I'm gonna reach out to Tristan and just chat. I love that Brent said that basketball was his kind of refuge, because sports is just that to a ton of people. It's a place where we go to let off some steam. And specifically for me, it's been, as of lately, it's been running. And you know, in the past when gyms were open, I love lifting because it's an hour to 2 hours of just time where I can be by myself, and it almost acts as therapy for me. I'm just with my thoughts and get all my feelings out, and it's fantastic. I think it's important that we learn more about mental health and make it less stigmatized to talk about, because it's something that not everyone understands fully, but it's a real thing, because I've experienced it, Brent has experienced it, and I'll even be the first one to sit here and say, I want to learn more about it for myself and for others. So leave me a comment below letting me know if you experienced anything with mental health in the past or worked with those who have. Let's get on to the next one. So our last story for today is from Rachel Yerksa, who is a goaltender for Cape Breton University. As a kid, I played both soccer and hockey. My dad, brothers, and sister played hockey as well, but I was the only one who took an interest in soccer. When I was 13, I got sick one practice and didn't want to run, so I volunteered to go in net and have loved it ever since. When grade 11 came around, I was being recruited by a couple of schools in the States. Canada wasn't even on my radar. But I was having a tough year with some personal issues. My godmother suddenly passed away, and it took a huge toll on me. I was unfocused in school and didn't think I wanted to play soccer anymore. I didn't sign anywhere when National Signing Day came and thought that was that. But my club coach pushed me to keep playing and linked up with Ness when he came to Umbro Showcase in Mississauga. He flew out to watch my games and practice that week. He came to my house and we discussed the recruiting trip, which I figured, why not go for? Once I got to campus, I knew right away that I still wanted to play because soccer was too much a part of me to give up. First year came, and after playing opening weekend, I blew my ankle and was out pretty much all season. It was heartbreaking to sit back and watch, but when we won AUS that year, it lifted my spirits, and I was so happy to be a part of this team. Second year is ending now, and sometimes I sit back and think about how close I came to not becoming a varsity athlete. Choosing to continue playing was the best decision I've made, and I'm so excited to see what the next few years have in store for me. Again, here's another example of perseverance. The amount of things that Rachel had to go through in order to get where she is today, losing her godmother, not being focused in school, just going down the spiral where it got to a point where she was ready to give up soccer altogether. To see her sit there today and say, I am so glad that I went and continued my soccer career because she was this close to packing it all in, that just goes back to my belief that if you're being hit in the face by life, you need to chase it. You need to attack it. It's not going to be easy. It'll probably be one of the hardest things you ever do, but when you get to the other side of that adversity, you're going to be so thankful that you continued. It's just that simple. And for me to say it's just that simple, it's very difficult. But if you can find it within yourself to not give up, whether that's in sports, school, relationships, if you don't give up on something, you're gonna see the benefits of it. I also want to shout out Cape Breton University because of all the athletes that have been featured from Cape Breton University, all of them have said incredible things. Whether it's the culture or the teammates, the coaches, it's just something that I've noticed after doing this, and I have no reason to shout out Cape Breton University because I didn't go there. They were X's rival and everything, but I just wanted to share that every athlete that I've featured from CBU has said nothing but good things. So to anyone out there, high school students, if you're being approached by Cape Breton University, give them a chance. So Rachel, thank you for sharing that. There's a message in there that's been repeated in both hers and David, is that when you're hit with adversity, the best thing that you can do is attack it and get through the other side. That's another episode of Undress the Stories. Again, lots in there. I just want to put out a huge shout out to you guys who make it this far to the videos. Me sitting here right now, it's almost surreal that I have the ability to have these stories from athletes from all over Canada and just having the opportunity to give my thoughts on them. It's been an incredible experience because I now feel like I'm connected to a lot of people that I would not have known otherwise. So thank you so much for making it this far. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any new videos. That thumbs up button really helps me out, so make sure you hit that and leave me a comment below what you thought about today's episode. I'm Tristan and I'm signing out. Peace.